Let's bring you this now. Campaigning is heating up in Zimbabwe with just days to go before the general elections there. On Wednesday, citizens in that country will head to the polls to elect a president and members of the legislature. 4 activists were deported from that country on Thursday, and journalists from international media outlets were also banned from entering the country. The Zimbabwean National Editors Forum has condemned this banning, and its director, Njabulo Ncube, joins us now via our video link for more on their reaction. Njabulo, it's lovely to have you on the program. Thanks so much indeed for making time to speak to us. Hopefully you're able to hear me from Johannesburg. What's your assessment of what's actually taking place here? Was this deportation, as it's being described, a result of just a misunderstanding, or do you reckon there are more sinister motives?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a tight election, this one. All candidates are on the ground campaigning. But unfortunately, we've had a situation whereby with journalists that have been deported, and that casts a doubt on the credibility of the elections. If we don't have anything to hide, one would have wanted all journalists from all the countries, journalists from across the globe, to come and witness this historic election. Historic in that we have a one-year-old party that is contesting against a party that has been there, the incumbents that have been there for the past 43 years. It's very historic, and again, historic in that we have a 58% to 60%.
Oh dear, what a pity. It looks like we've lost our audio connection to Njabulo Ncube there. Njabulo, I'm told you may have muted yourself by mistake. Are you back? Njabulo, it appears you may have muted yourself. If you can check your settings there so that we're able to hear everything that you're saying. In the meanwhile, by the way, the story here is around the deportation of a number of activists from that country, including, by the way, Chris Maruleng, who's part of Good Governance Africa. He's been on this program several times around his work and activism. He had planned to go to Zimbabwe to, at the very least, be an observer in one way or another. As far as he's concerned, all the checks and balances were done, but nonetheless, he was still deported. Njabulo, hopefully we can hear you now. You're still explaining to us the kind of terrain in which this is happening for what you described as a historic election.
Yes, the deportation of the leader of the Governance Africa is very unfortunate, but it's not an isolated incident. We've had other journalists that have been deported, that have wanted to cover this election. It's very unfortunate. That's why we are condemning it. But surprisingly, the deportation of the journalists and the refusal to accredit human rights lawyers comes on the backdrop of having cherry-picked journalists from Southern Africa coming to Zimbabwe in what is called the True Zimbabwe Tour. One would have wanted all journalists from across the globe to come and witness this historic elections.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in their wisdom, they are thinking that they have to cherry pick who covers this election, which is very unfortunate.
From the outside, you definitely get the impression that there is a drive to paint a certain picture of the country, and that is pretty obvious why. I mean, Zimbabwe has come under criticism for years now, election after election, for simply not creating an environment where there are free and fair polls. But how is this potentially affecting your ability to tell the story around the election from inside the country?
Yeah, I will tell you that social media is playing its part in that misinformation and disinformation that we're witnessing is being countered by your Twitter, by your Facebook. And I'm sure that our colleagues that were brought to Zimbabwe, that were cherry-picked to come to Zimbabwe on tour, they've seen it for themselves, that what they're trying to propagate has been, countered by social media. So social media is going to play a very, very, very significant place in this election.
Absolutely. All right, we'll see how it all unfolds. For now, Njabulo Ncube, thanks very much indeed for your time. Njabulo is the director of the Zimbabwean National Editors Forum, speaking to us there from Harare.